Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined today by Rob Schneider. He's the Executive Director of the Portland-based Lemelson Foundation. Good to see you, Rob. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I got to be honest, I wasn't familiar with your organization, that you were coming down here, and I thought it was a very cool thing. So Jerry Lemelson was the co-founder. Yep. Fascinating story. How did this whole thing start for you guys?
Yeah, so Jerry Lemelson was one of the most prolific inventors of the 20th century. He had over 600 patents, which was second at the time only to Thomas Edison. So he and his wife Dolly, in the early to mid 90s, as Jerry's career was really taking off, said, look, how do we give back? They felt like invention and the inventiveness that they inspired in others would help them achieve their own goals. Jerry was able to provide for his family, create products and businesses that allowed for folks to solve the problems that they had in the world. And so he felt like invention was being underinvested in. And so how could he give back to help give kids the same opportunity that he had by growing up in the United States? He always felt very fortunate to have grown up in a country that gave him this opportunity. And
he grew up, correct me if I'm wrong, back east and spent most of his time in the back east, but what's the connection, what's the family connection to Oregon? Yeah, so one of his sons, Eric Lemelson, actually moved out here in the 80s to go to Reed College, and then over time the family spent more and more time here, and one of the other sons, Rob Lemelson, relocated to Los Angeles, so the family sort of shifted from the East Coast to the West Coast, and Eric put down roots here. He owns a winery, Lemelson Winery, in the Willamette Valley, and so the family started spending time here, and when we professionalized back around 2000 as a foundation, this was a natural home for us. Wow, okay, and so for anybody who doesn't know, obviously you're kind of the entrepreneurial spirit and promoting invention. How does an organization like yours do that at the ground level?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we don't support individual inventors or entrepreneurs or individual products. Really, we try to take a systems approach. So how do we help expose kids to inventiveness and entrepreneurialness in the K-12 years, and where they're not often exposed to those kinds of things, and get it in their head, the skill sets that they need and the mindsets for them to really take agency over their own lives and careers and become an entrepreneur or inventor, or in whatever they do in life, take that inventive spirit or entrepreneurial spirit with them, whether they work in government or whether they work for a company or work for themselves. That's great. And then at the entrepreneurial level, it's how do we make the path for entrepreneurs easier? Right? How do we give them or help them get access to capital, access to mentorship, access to talent, all the things that you need to succeed as an entrepreneur, but often don't know where to go. And so we work with governments and local organizations and nonprofits and educational institutions to really help broaden the base for people to get the things that they need, the entrepreneurs to get the things that they need as they get larger.
Fascinating. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the work you do here in Southern Oregon, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Rob Schneider, the Executive Director of the Lemelson Foundation from Portland. So we're talking all about the work that you guys do across the state. What do you do here in Southern Oregon? What is Invent Oregon?
Yeah, so Invent Oregon is an invention competition for collegiate students across the state. And so I think in the latest iteration, we had 18 or 20 of the schools, including community colleges around the state, send teams. They have a competition at their local school, and then they go to the Invent Oregon finals, which we rotate around the state. And so it's great. It's based around kids and students looking at what the problems are in their community. So you've got some really great inventions that you'd never think of. I mean, we have stuff everywhere from fire suppression techniques to educational programs that for middle school students that take an escape room model to one of my favorites is around reclaiming the petroleum and plastic bags and going through a process and then taking that and using the chemicals that come out of that in new processes. There's another student from Road Community College that eventually transferred up to Portland State that developed a cheap and easy way to convert your gas car into a green hydrogen car.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see all across the spectrum, and these are things that people see in their communities, they want to make a difference, and they're students, and they can do that. And it's going through the process of failing. That's, I think, one of the things we don't teach in school enough is how to respond to failure. What do you do? We say it as parents, like, oh, you got to pick yourself up, but the education system is designed around success, not around bouncing back from failure. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Now that kind of leads me into my next question. What advice would you have for kids watching right now, for parents who have children who want want to boost that entrepreneurial spirit? Any, go as broad or as tiny as you like.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think one of the best places to go is in your community, right? So whether it's your school or your church or after school activities, go and approach the people that are leading that administration within the school districts and say, hey, look, we want opportunities for our kids to grow up and learn how to be inventive, how to be entrepreneurial. What can we do here in our community? It doesn't take a lot. We have a lot of free material on our website. If you go to inventioneducation.org, that's one of the websites we run, but there's lots of other materials out there around the country because other communities are struggling with the same kinds of things of how do they get their kids ready for the 21st century. It's not the 20th century anymore, and all of us got educated in the 20th century, but our kids are going to have to live in a digital age with new challenges, and they're going to have to come up with new solutions.
Great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It was a real pleasure being here. Thanks so much.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.